Greetings, my children. You are listening to the sweet sounds of the Tech Nerd. And this is station 1701. And this, my fellow babies, is episode 3 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Children of Illyria. Alright, folks, we're going to try to do this one real quick. We're going to do the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I have to tell you right now, there isn't that many uglies because this was a pretty good episode. I enjoyed this one quite a bit, but let's get going. First, on the good, is the Ion Storm. It's a timely used trope. It is a classic Star Trek trope, and I am glad that it's being used here. Ion storms cause more havoc in Star Trek than a tribble on a bender. And it's nice to see it used here as well. So, bravo for that. All right, next in the good column, I'd like to say that I really enjoyed the graphics, the power graphics in the engineering room. It was really nice. I think these are probably some of the best I've seen. They really did a very good job. Modern, but not too modern. And they really fit. They weren't too, they weren't too flashy, and they looked useful. I guess that's the top thing I should say. If I were Hemmer, those would be very useful to me. All right, I think this is number 3 for likes. I have to say I am really loving these uniforms that they're using. I really am so glad they got rid of the collared uniforms that they used in Discovery. I really couldn't stand those. That flapped out, that black collar that ran around their neck. It annoyed the hell out of me. I felt like I just wanted to get a piece of tape and tape that down. But these ones, I really like these ones a lot. And I loved the jackets that they were wearing on the away team was wearing. They kind of harkened back to again, and you guys know I like the Enterprise, and they harken back to, they look a little bit like the jackets that they used on Enterprise as well, and that would fit because they're the series right before them. So really like those a lot. All right, I think this is number 4 on the good column. I really like another callback to Enterprise was the use of the Illyrians. Now they were in an episode, it was called Damage. That was a really, really good episode. I liked that they used the Illyrians. Obviously, they changed the way they looked a little bit from the episode in Enterprise. That's fine. And they didn't really explain them all that well in Enterprise. So there's really nothing wrong with giving them this augment ability that they have. Now there is some bad things about that, and we will get to that later. All right, so next is the bad. Okay, again, I'm going to state, get rid of the previously on. I don't like that. There's really no reason for it. These are episodics, and it just doesn't fit. We really don't need to know what happened in the last episode. Next is, this is just an observation. With the transporters, there seems to be, now you can correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like there is a bit of a technology mismatch here. Dr. Mbenga says that you can keep someone in a transporter pretty much forever. All you have to do is rematerialize them for a short period of time. I don't know if that jives with original series tech or not. I have the sneaking suspicion that it doesn't, but apparently they needed it for the story, so there it is. Okay. Next on the bad, this isn't necessarily bad, but it was just this is just an observation. If they wanted to sedate the entire ship, now they said they wanted to sedate the medical bay, but it seemed like it was spreading across the entire ship. They could have just gassed the entire ship. They have that ability. They also have the ability to gas only certain parts of the ship. So they could have just gassed the entire med bay. They didn't really need to individually sedate each person. The fact that they made number 1 in Illyrian, and in my opinion, it's a little bit more on the bad side. it does add something to the story, especially because we now know that the security officer does know that she definitely is related to Khan Singh. She does not seem to have any of his abilities, although I'm not quite sure on that, because in her fight with number one, it did seem like maybe she was holding her own a bit. I think she does have some of those abilities, at least slightly enhanced strength. The thing that gets me about that is twofold, really, with making number one an Illyrian, making her an augment. First, I believe it robs her character of just being good. And what I mean by that is every time she does something spectacular, from here on out, it's going to be because she's an Illyrian. She definitely seems to have enhanced strength. She has this regeneration ability, or this ability to cure diseases, and it's very definite that she has an enhanced intellect. I mean, she was able to figure out stuff that really just the doctor should have been able to figure. So from this point on, anytime she does anything spectacular, it's going to be because she's an augment. And it robs her character of just being good. Rather than just being a really good officer, it's because she's an augment. You need to have just normal people that are good at things. It's very important, and it improves their character when they're like that. Superpowers are it's a lazy writing tool. It's a useful writing tool, but it can be a lazy one as well. So I don't want them to go down that road. Let's go to the ugly, the normal stuff. And that was what I have been saying since the beginning. The legacy characters, which is Uhura, Spock, and Nurse Chapel, they just don't seem like themselves. And I know we didn't really see too much of Uhura in this episode. It was mainly Spock, and there was some Chapel in as well. But they just don't seem like their own characters. And it is off-putting. Let's just say that. The only other observation I have is, and I don't want to call this necessarily ugly, but it could get there. And this is the thing. So, again, we have episodes that seem similar to other episodes. And maybe this is just me. Maybe it's because I'm such a Star Trek nerd that I know all these episodes and that I see similarities intertwined between them. The problem is I don't remember watching other Star Trek series picking out episodes from previous Star Trek series. But I see and this is the third episode I see myself doing that in. And it seems like every episode they write is part of at least two other former episodes. Like the writers have just watched a whole bunch of Star Trek and they're taking pieces from here and there and they're just combining them together like some sort of Star Trek bingo game. And what I noted in here, we definitely saw elements of Naked Now or Naked Time. Those are and Naked Time was original series, and then Naked Now was Next Generation. Definitely some trappings of those. Disease gets loose on the ship. People start acting weird. There you go. The other one, I felt it was very similar to Miri, the episode Miri, which was an original series episode. That was where they went down to a planet and they found the previous civilization had destroyed itself and was working on a cure to bring itself back. Again, very similar to what the Illyrians were doing, I thought. There was another episode, was Next Generation, was called Genesis, where a disease got loose on the ship. It was actually a genetic disease that caused the crew to devolve. There's also, and I cannot remember it offhand, but there is another episode of Next Generation where they encounter a being. One of the people from that race is being chased, and they find out that the race is about to change into this being of pure light. And if I think of it later, I'll put up a graphic for it. but some similarities there as well, as this Illyrian race was changing over into, obviously they changed it over these fire beings that Spock and Pike saw down on the planet. So that was similar as well. Lastly, the only other thing I have to say, Ensign Lance, why does he look like Loki? Just an observation. Again, take it or leave it. But he really looks a lot like Loki. Okay, folks, that is it. That is my impression of episode 3. Folks, that's it. I'm going to cut this one short. So I'll see you again in about a week. Stay tuned. Like, share, and subscribe. Share these all over. Still trying to get to 3,000 subs. We'll talk soon. Tech Nerd signing out.